Now, welcome to another lightning response video, where this time I'm going to try to answer a few of the questions left on yesterday's video. There were a ton. I'll get to a few here, and I'll start that off with this question from Xtreme, who asked, Hey Thor, does Star Wars even need a retcon? It's one of the few, maybe the only universe to not be rebooted. The universe is so vast, a retcon could just easily be a time period hundreds of years removed from Skywalker time period. Only canon they would need to follow at that point is pretty much the key points, the Jedi Force space travel. Do you think Disney is just too afraid to remove from the core time period and take that risk? And as I always say, I think Disney will do whatever they are convinced will make them the most money. I think they would retcon the sequels in a heartbeat if you could guarantee to them that they'll make a ton of money and that going forward Star Wars will be in a healthy position, shall we say, that whatever shows and movies they put out next will also do very well, and that it won't cause them too much controversy to do so, because I think the biggest problem with retconning the sequels is that they are the legacy of Kathleen Kennedy. That is something else I say all the time. She will forever be known as the woman who was responsible for them, even though, yes, a lot of other people were responsible for them too. But she was at the helm of Lucasfilm when they were being made, when they came out, and like I said, they are her legacy, and that is why she wants Rey to be the future of Star Wars. That's why we heard not long ago that they believe Rey is their best asset, because she wants Rey to be salvaged. She wants people to look back and say, oh yeah, that is one of the iconic characters of Star Wars, and the sequels were really good, because that is what she contributed to Star Wars. And she's done other things in her life, certainly, but that is what she is always going to be most remembered for, again, for better or worse. And so if you do retcon them, you're basically saying her legacy is trash. It is not worth keeping around, and we have to redo everything that she did, even though most of the things that have come out can still stay in the canon. Things like The Mandalorian or the whole Mandoverse, as it is oftentimes called, that can all stay. Anyway, again, I think the biggest problem with retconning the sequels is you're saying her legacy was a failure. There are going to be some people out there who insist, and they're going to do it in a very loud way, that she's only being fired and being thrown aside, and her work is being thrown aside because she is a woman, and all of that. That is just how their brains operate. They cannot or will refuse to look at the numbers, at the diminishing returns from Star Wars. The fact that when it started under Disney, we got The Force Awakens, it made $2 billion, and nowadays we're getting shows, and mind you, I enjoyed Skeleton Crew. This isn't a complaint about the show itself, but we are getting shows that cannot crack the top 10 new and original shows. Star Wars is in the toilet essentially right now, and who knows if the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is going to be a huge hit in a year and a half. And if it isn't, then what? I really think that will be the determining factor if that movie is not a success. And we've already heard that the Filoni movie, the one that was announced at Celebration 2023, it hinges on the success of that movie. It is not going to be made if that movie isn't well received and make a ton of money. Anyway, if the Mando and Grogu movie is a failure, what then? I really do think that might be the moment that they do actually hit the emergency button and say, we're willing to do whatever it takes at this point to make some money from this franchise. So no, going back to your question, I know I'm kind of all over the place right here, but I don't think they're afraid to do it. I think they do have a bit of fear that, yes, there is going to be a backlash if you retcon the sequels because of the attachment to Kennedy, that they are her legacy, and there are going to be people that insist it was done for nefarious reasons, not just because it's about money, which, as again, I always say, it is about money. They don't care about the integrity of the canon. They don't care about the stories. They don't care about any of that at Disney. They care about making money for themselves and for the shareholders. They have a fiduciary responsibility to make the money. So if you could go to them and say, hey, if you redo these movies, if you scrap the original sequels, you're going to bring back a lot of fans, you're going to make a ton of money, and you could potentially repair some of the damage to the franchise just in general, where you could have people excited and talking positively about it more often than not. I think they jump at the opportunity. And again, I think the breaking point will ultimately be the Mando and Grogu movie. If that movie does not make money, if it is a failure, they are going to be willing to do whatever it takes to save this thing. Because as I've also said before, I don't see them selling Star Wars or Lucasfilm, because that also is going to bring a lot of buzz to the franchise. It is going to bring a lot of hope to people that, oh, they have sold it because Disney was the problem, and now in new hands, there's a chance it's going to be great, and I'm going to give it a chance, and if it is great, well, that is huge, huge competition for Disney. All right, enough on that one. Let's move to the next question. This one is from Grimzilla, who asked, "Hey Thor, say Disney does cave and retcon the sequels. There is still an elephant in the room lately, and that is the current state of Mark Hamill, Ford, and others. It's no secret that Hamill has kind of gone off the deep end since the 2024 election. Now, I practice the separate the art from the artist proverb, but again, Hamill has begun rubbing lots of people the wrong way with his social media presence that Disney pays a lot of attention to, and that's not even bringing up Ford's apathy for the series. My question is, even if we get the sequel's retcon with Hamill's deterioration, Ford's apathy, Fisher and Earl Jones being dearly departed among others, with even Billy D. Williams looking not too good, what can be done now? Seems like Disney already let everything slip through their fingers." All right, not getting into the political part about that. You can think whatever you want about Hamill and his social media posts, certainly. But just looking at their ages and everything else, the fact that, yes, many of them are dearly departed and others just would have no interest in doing it again, I think Hamill is the only one that could potentially come back in any capacity, really, or would be willing to. But I think you have two choices. You can either recast or you can go AI. And I think the better option of the two is just recasting them instead of going AI, even though in maybe a few years, a decade at most, we might see some really crazy AI in films where we are literally, well, not literally, but it looks like we are literally bringing back the dead, where we have crossed the uncanny valley and it is almost indistinguishable from real actors. And though I do think that is not a possibility, but a certainty at some point, again, in the not too distant future, I believe, and this is just my gut feeling, I'm not basing it off of anything more than that, but I believe there will come a time, probably fairly soon after AI is what it is about to become. I think there are going to be people who reject AI and just want human beings doing entertainment, and they're going to look back at what maybe is being created right now or in the very near future and kind of reject that was the AI phase of entertainment and we don't want that anymore. And I'm not saying AI is terrible or the bad guy entirely. I think it has its uses. I think it will always have its uses. And I think when it comes to entertainment, it certainly has uses. It can do the more mundane things. It can do things that just people waste a ton of time on that there is no need for, like doing backgrounds and just random little things like that. But when it comes to the pure creativity side of things, when it comes to acting in films, I want to believe that people want real people on screen, even if they look like real people. And so, getting to my point, I think your best bet is to just recast them. That might be controversial too, but I think people are going to be more willing to accept that over an AI, just digital recreation of dead actors that they loved. I think that is going to be creepy as well. But either way, I think you just recast them. You've already done it with the Solo movie, and I don't remember too many people being all that upset about that. So recast them, do the films over again, then you have those actors for X number of years in the future where they can come back and play that character again whenever you want or need them, instead of just doing the creepy AI thing, which again I think is going to be rejected by people. I think we're already seeing a degree of rejection of AI in art. Either way, recasting them I think is the much better option, and I think people will be accepting of it if it means they retcon the sequels and we get to see Han, Luke, and Leia, even if it isn't Carrie, Mark, and Harrison. If we get to see those characters back on screen together one more time, if we get them honored the way that the sequels probably should have done it, I think people will probably accept that, or they will see that as an attempt to at least make up for what they've done, to put things right after that big mistake of not having all those characters back together again one final time. Alright, well that is going to be all I got for you this time. I'm done rambling, so now it is your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you thought of my rambling, or tell me what you think about anything else Star Wars related, or ask a question for a future lightning response video. Just start your comment off with "Hey Thor," ask your question, and I'll try to answer it in a future video. Whatever the case may be though, leave your comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars, and until next time, thanks for watching.